they survived, but more so because they just wanted to share the news. And as we learn things in Canaan, a lot of things that are born out of pain, we just can't wait to share within the community, and as you can see, it continues to grow. I've been a police officer for going on 25 years now. And for many years, I've seen a lot of terrible things happen to people, and I've been involved in many different investigations, some high profile, some others not as much. Recently, about for the last decade, I've been part of the SWAT team. And one of the things that I've seen, and I'm going to share a couple of stories with you, but more so some of the things that have happened recently, and how my perspective has changed in the things that I do, namely because of this place that we're all sitting in. And so, last October was a pretty tough day. There was a thing going on here called Toxico, and as I was sitting here, I had to leave in the middle of this conference and respond to a call that was a pretty bad, gruesome murder scene. Okay, I won't get into the details, but just to say that that's how my day was going. And later on that night, after the things that I had seen, and recognized that, we see a lot of these terrible things, and I've only recently begun to understand that, cops, probably like firefighters and a lot of the people in the industry, first responders and things like that, we have coping mechanisms. And those coping mechanisms can sometimes range anywhere from humor to some of the more bad things that we do, not only to ourselves, but to the ones that we love and others around us. And there's a lot of things that I could tell you that I've seen over the years that, my mind, I can imagine the scenes as I'm standing there, and now as I go back and I relive those images, it's nothing like post-traumatic stress disorder, but I've changed the perspective because of the things that I've learned here. And so that day, later on at night, I was telling my wife the story of what had happened at this murder scene, and I get this phone call, and it was a friend, somebody that I know. His name is George. He's the president of the Florida Christian Police Officers Association, and he calls me and he says, "Listen, you're about to get a call. My neighbor is suicidal. He's barricaded himself, and his family's out. But please, if there's anything that you can do to help him, please, just get the message out to your guys. He's got a lot of guns." That's the only thing that I heard. He's got a lot of guns, and for somebody who's going into somebody else's house, whether you're serving a warrant or dealing with, a SWAT team issue or whatever, the last thing you want to hear is that somebody's on the other side. We don't know the person. I didn't know the person, but the only thing that I did was basically get on the phone and call the supervisor who was already on the scene, getting things ready, and telling him, "Listen, you need to understand, I got a phone call. The individual that we're talking about, we're responding to his house. He's got a lot of guns, but I'm talking to somebody that knows him. So let's go with the negotiations, because that's part of the process. We got to negotiate, do a lot of things. There's several steps before we go knocking on somebody's door, or better yet, knocking it down." As I was getting to the scene, I got more phone calls from George, and he's praying. He says, "We're praying for this person." And I say, "Keep praying, because when I get there, I'm going to talk to the lieutenant. I'll tell him what's up." And as I got to the scene, I finally get there in the middle of the night. I tell the supervisors and the SWAT team guys that are there, let's negotiate a little bit more. Let's before we go in, let's try a little bit harder. And long story short, he eventually surrendered himself. He was taken to a hospital, obviously for observation, being that he was suicidal. He surrendered his weapons, and days later, George calls me, and he tells me that he's out of the hospital. And I said, "Well, let me tell you about this place called Canaan, and let's stop there and I'll fast forward to what happened last Saturday. In the middle of the night again, because that's usually the way it happens, and I live down south, and for some reason, it's always in the north end of the county that I gotta go flying in the middle of the night. There was a robbery that took place. The call went out, and there was a description of an individual, with a ski mask and a gun. And what ends up happening is this person, somebody who lives in the area, comes to the door because he hears a commotion outside, and there's a guy with a ski mask saying, "Get back inside." So he went back inside, he closed the door, and he calls the police, and now the canine officers that are now beginning the search, the cops with the dogs, they converge on the area because this guy's obviously on foot and they're looking for him. And the dog, doing what he does best, tracks the individual down to this, an addition that had been built in the back of one of the residences in that area. And when he reaches inside to open the door, the police officer, the individual that was obviously inside, shoots the police officer. Okay? Shoots the police officer goes back. We don't lose sight of the police officers that are there. Don't lose sight of the addition. And now we get called again, and now we're going to have to deal with another barricaded subject, right? So I get there with the team, and now one of the things that they gave my unit was this robot, right? And just imagine Wall-E with really long arms, okay? And that's what we call him, Wall-E. And we take him out from the back of the armored car, and I'm trained with one of the guys to work this robot. And the robot, because everybody's waiting, because we're not going to go in, and if the robot can do the job of 10 SWAT guys, then, that's great. We know the guy's in there, so the robot, off he goes with his little wheels, right? And as we get to the addition, now just picture that the addition is almost like an abandoned project, so there's a lot of garbage. It looks really nasty in there. And, we push the door open, and now obviously we can see everything that Wally's looking at because we're back at the armored car with our little, box and an Xbox joystick, which is what we use to go ahead and control him. And Wally goes in, he looks to the left, there's a toilet, there's all sorts of stuff in the toilet, there's paperwork, there's garbage everywhere, but we don't see the guy, right? So Wally continues, that's a very small addition. Imagine it's probably like, 10 by 12, it's very small. Wally then goes to the corner, and there's a broom closet. And the broom closet, we don't have an angle on the broom closet, so, there goes Wally, he tracks, and we still don't see what's inside, so Wally backs up, we go, and, the guy that I'm working the robot with says, "There's a leg." Okay, and I said, "This is nice. You know what? He's trying to hide, but the thing is that we can't really see him, we just know that there's a leg there, and we see the boot, there's his boot. And he's crouched in the corner, and so Wally goes and pokes him, but he's not moving. Okay? So we back up, and now we're able to get a better view, and there's blood on the floor. And we see the gun. Wally picks up the gun, we back up. The SWAT guys enter the addition, and we discharge a rubber bullet, basically. Because if you don't wake up with a rubber bullet, then obviously you're not responding to anything, and that's exactly what happened. This individual killed himself while we responded to the area. And to be very candid with you, I was more happy that the robot actually worked than focusing in on this person who had just killed himself. And so we're kind of high-fiving each other, I said, man, we trained, we did everything right. And then on the way home, because usually what would have happened before I came here was like, we'd get to a scene and say, "Listen, man, if you're gonna kill yourself, just hurry up, because it's like 3 in the morning, I wanna get home." Now it's a little bit different, and things start to change. And as I was going home, I just started absorbing something that I had never done before. And I said, how sad and how tragic that here are these 2 cases, right, where somebody is able to get saved But yet, this other person meets his end because he's lost all hope inside a broom closet, covered with garbage, you know? I never saw his face, even though I went inside, but I kind of became obsessed with him over the week, and I asked his name. His name was Roderick Claze. I don't know if anybody knows him. I never met him. I don't know his family. I was talking with my wife today about reaching out, and I thought how sad, you know? But let's go back a second and talk about the other person, you know? I came in last Saturday, and because it was Friday, Saturday morning, 2 in the morning when I went, and I still came to Canaan, and I shared this story with him, and I said, you know, I want you to know how blessed you truly are. Because for a long time, and I remember the first day he came, he was kind of dead from the neck down. You know, he was living up here, and he's gone through this incredible transformation that we see every day in the support groups. You know, like Lucky says, where it all happens, man. You know? And it's a beautiful transformation that's taking place. I won't even get into the things that I've learned along the way. My wife can attest to that. And I share